Now, there's a warning with this one, right? Is that this does not work on narcissists. Because they have the discipline, they have the lack of emotions to be able to move on from you because they really didn't care about you. The only way this works on a narcissist is if they still see you as an object that belongs to them. And by that point, those are dangerous because they can stalk you, fucking snatch your tires and shit, right? And also, this doesn't work on people who don't like you. Sometimes people fake they like you. And sometimes silence reveals that because they don't what? They don't react to you. So if this doesn't work, it's working. Okay, silence is not meant to get a reaction. Silence is meant to get at the truth. So remember that, right? Now, the truth, the beauty about when you go silent on someone is that their brains begins to play tricks on them. Meaning, their worst insecurities come to surface. Just like when you're scared, you usually start to think of your biggest fears when you're scared, even though what you fear may not happen, but that's just your default mode. People's insecurities will arise when you go silent on people, when you pull away. And the reason why is because the same insecurity that got them attracted to you, because you gotta understand, the only reason why we get attracted to people is because of insecurity, right? We're attracted to you because you make me feel whole. If I don't have you, I feel insecure. So whatever insecurity is driving us towards being attracted to you, when they lose you, their insecurity will start to torment them. They'll start to torment them through depression, sadness, dreams of being with you, fucking walking down the street and thinking they see you everywhere. When you go silent on them, you start to become a ghost in their minds. They start to see you everywhere. You become omnipresent. And this compels people to break their rules. Maybe they're disrespecting you. Maybe you were so needy and creepy, you pushed them away. This allows you to raise your value without putting too much effort. The only effort is in your part, self-discipline.
And is that they're gonna crash out. You know, people use each other as a drug. When we get used to you every day, we're all seeing whether or not am I addicted to you. And if I'm addicted to you, I want to see you again. Reason being is because your presence gives me a high, your absence gives me a low. And a lot of those, if you experience a lot of like, you're here, I feel better, you're not here, I don't feel better. What happens is that you just grow physically dependent on them. Right, and you literally start to have symptoms of you wanting your drug, where you have obsessive compulsive thoughts. And so what happens with that is that their behavior becomes very predictable. In your absence, they'll start to do things to win you over. Maybe you'll notice they'll start to work out more. They'll start to get in shape. They'll start to do the things that you value, and they'll start to tell you about it. You know, and the beauty about it is that every day that they work to get in shape, to finally see you again, every time they do an act for that, they grow more invested in you. And the less control over their emotions they have, the better it is for you, because they become obsessed, for the simple being that they start to confuse love for them depending on you to feel better about themselves. That's a problem, right? And so it becomes like a trauma bond, and you got to be very careful with people like that, you know. But if you're in love, it becomes difficult for you, you know, because at the end of the day, you're bluffing, and you got to know how to control your emotions if you're going to do this.
The problem is that if it was your needy, creepy emotions that pushed them away, you may not have self-discipline. You know what I'm saying? By the way, we just posted a video on Patreon on how to blackmail. Honestly, it was so dark, I couldn't post it here. Like, honestly, I was like, you know what? Towards the end, I was like, you know what? We are not posting this on YouTube. So if you want to check that video out about blackmail, we might just start posting evil shit on that Patreon, man. Go check it out on Patreon. So once in your absence, their brains will begin to do the dirty work for you. Their brain will start to change memories, where maybe you were the creepy one. All of a sudden, your creepy energy is like, wow, I lost someone who was so sweet to me. You know, at first I thought they were creepy, but now that they're silent, now that they're pulling away, now that they're not reacting to me, I realize how important they were. See what I'm saying? And so it changes memories. So if you think that you were acting way too low value and that caused them to pull away, going silent might do the trick on them, right? The next thing is that their anxieties will play tricks on them. So this truly does depend on the anxiety. That's why the higher the self-esteem of someone, the less likelihood this will work, because people with high self-esteem move on. Now, what do I mean by high self-esteem? High self-esteem is just that you have the capacity to go from unhappiness to happiness. And also, high self-esteem means you have the capacity to deal with success so that you don't overinflate your ego. Right? You're able to go from success to normalcy, not from success to grandiosity, right? So depending on their self-esteem, it really is an indication of how much they work. And the beauty about it is that the more somebody loves you, the more flimsy their self-esteem is. That's the thing, is that in order to fall in love, you gotta allow yourself to put yourself in a vulnerable state. Right? It's like a mom having a kid in the wild, right? If you're gonna have a kid, you're gonna have to put yourself in a vulnerable position to get killed, attacked, or your kids get eaten, right? So to fall in love, you gotta lose some self-esteem so that you could gain that energy, that power that comes from loving someone, right? Like it's like you gotta get weak here to get strong here, right? But that's the thing, is that sometimes people don't appreciate you, don't give you the love, because you can't control your emotions, and so you over-depend on them, and so then you push them away because you're too overbearing. And so hopefully this is life teaching you that with people, you gotta treat them right. You can't treat them as objects. You gotta give people space. They're not just animals, they're not dogs, right? There's a certain way to deal with people, and unfortunately, sometimes some people love too hard, too intensely, too creepy, too needy. And so sometimes like for example with me, I text a lot, right? Not I text a lot, but I used to talk a lot. And I learned that by going silent, I finally saw my true value. I finally saw how valuable I am, because then I started realizing, oh, okay. People didn't like me a lot when I was too charismatic, too talkative, not because of me, but because I didn't give them space to like me. Sometimes your silence is what allows people to think of you, and think of you in a positive way, right? So that's one thing. Their brains will play tricks on you. Your absence and silence does the dirty work for you. That's why I tell you, you don't have to try hard. That's the issue. Like, the whole point of what I'm trying to tell you is that you don't have to try hard. In fact, I don't want you to try. People will like you for you. Once you stop trying, you'll notice that people actually are more drawn to you, right? So how do you do that? Well, how does it work? Well, when in your absence, in your silence, they will sense your absence, right? When you're not there, they'll realize how much dopamine they got from you. Like, we tend to take for granted the things that provide us pleasure. In life, we take for granted the things that relieve our anxieties. And sometimes we do have an effect on people. Sometimes they do love us, but because our constant presence, they forget. Humans have that capacity to forget things that should be unforgettable. People forget for the simple fact that some people have that personality trait. Some people have that character flaw that they have to consistently be reminded to appreciate what's in front of you. Some people can do it more than others, but some other people it's highly dopamine driven people. So people who have jobs that are highly dopaminergic jobs, like DJ, drug dealer, fucking traveler, YouTubers, celebrities, famous people, stunt people, rock climbers, like artists, or people who are into a lot of drugs. Like, those people have the habit of jumping from thing to thing because of their curiosity, their very nature. And so you got to recognize that, you got to recognize who you're dealing with, and realize that most likely it's better to give people more space than necessary, right? And let them complain to you how close you want them to get, So day to day, they'll fear your absence. They'll see, holy shit, like, I remember when this girl used to live with me, and then obviously she moved out. But the first day she moved out, it just felt like something was missing in the apartment. I was like, damn, man, I really miss this girl, man. It's some bullshit. You know? And the emptiness that I felt, which is something that they'll feel in your absence and in your silence, the emptiness drew me to want to go back to her. But in her presence, I never felt the emptiness. And when I felt the emptiness, my mind reacted with recalling the memories and exaggerating how positive those memories were and diminishing the negative ones. Your silence and your absence does the dirty work for you. You know, sometimes in order to increase your charisma, it's not about talking more or learning a new fact. It's really about shutting the fuck up and creating space. Say hi and then pull away, and you'll notice that hi is more memorable than someone who say hi and talk for 20 minutes. One day they'll think they're over you, and then the next day they'll have feelings for you. They have good days and bad days. They have good days where they're like, oh, I'm over them. And then they'll have those days when they realize they're not over you. That's the grieving process, right? And in those moments, those feelings come back like a thunderbolt. It's like a wave of positive feelings and nostalgia that makes you want to teleport yourself back to being with them, you know? And that's just the grieving process. And the beauty about it is that if they're in the grieving process, you can come back any moment you want. You know, most people are not smart enough to realize that you got to let things in the past be. Like, some people are not wise enough to understand that, and they think that they could just take you back and think that it'll get easier. It's like, no, like, each time you leave and come back, it makes you more addictive to them. It makes you more addictive. You know, but the problem with that is that people will just start to resent you. And I tell people, only do this once. And in fact, you don't have to do it as long as you control your emotions. As long as you give people more space than necessary. As long as you let them come to you every now and then. You don't have to do any of this. The problem is that it's just that some people use other people to control of their emotions. They regulate, they export their regulating of their emotions and rely on circumstance to change how they feel. And if you do that, you're gonna get played. That is an undeniable thing. You're gonna get played if you do that, and then you're gonna resent them for that, which would then reinforce that habit. You gotta rely on yourself. Give yourself the attention you want them to give you. Observe the emotions that are inside of you. Just sit and observe. Observe the sensation of the breath and notice what happens with your mind and body and emotions. What happens when you just concentrate on the breath? How does your mind react? How does your body and emotions react? And just sit and observe. Just observe the sensation of the breath. Just observe the different temperature changes. And just sit as you notice the different temperature changes. It gets hot, it gets cold. When does it get hot? When does it get cold? When does this get hot? When does this get cold? Just observe everything that's happening. And what happens is that it gives you the capacity to concentrate, to be able to observe more subtle sensations, more subtle changes of the breath. And that sharpening of your mind to be able to observe the subtle sensations of the breath allows you to also observe the subtle realities of your mind. And you'll start to notice where your emotions arise from. Who is it for? Why do you feel unhappiness? And that awareness, which first comes through becoming more aware of the physical sensations of the body. The sharper your mind becomes in observing the sensations of the body, the sharper your mind becomes in observing the reality of your mind, which is very murky. And that concentration of being able to observe the subtle sensations of the body allows you to observe the subtle changes of the mind, which increases your capacity to control your emotions more. You know, you can learn more about this in my course, Emotional Mastery. I talk about this method of meditating. It's called Vipassana. I shouldn't teach it, but you know. Yeah, man, silence, that's what it does to them, man. It fucks with them. Like, you become a phantom in their minds, and you become a fantasy, and they'll start to unconsciously do things to get close to you. That's the thing, is like, a lot of it is unconscious, right? They'll start posting photos unconsciously. They'll start to look at your, like, it's all unconscious. Like a drug addict who goes back to their drugs, they usually don't just, for example, if an alcoholic doesn't just start drinking instantly, they'll maybe start to go to parties every now and then. And that's unconscious right there. They'll maybe start to make friends with people who drink alcohol a lot. Maybe they'll start to drink alcohol-free alcohol, right? And they'll do that for like a few months. And then one day they'll have a sip, and then boom, they're back. But how did they get there? It took a whole year and a half of tiptoeing towards that. And then eventually they realize, holy shit, I'm back, right? Those little things. In your silence, in your absence, these things happen. And it tortures them on the inside. And as long as you don't do nothing, as long as you let them do everything, as long as you accept amor fati, meaning if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. It's just as simple. As long as you accept that, everything will fall into place. In life, I learned this, man. I learned to accept. My wish should be for things that are like my wish is to allow God's will to happen in my life. Now you may not believe in God. It could be I just want things that are meant to happen just happen. Everything that happens for a reason, and it's my job to see the reason. Like that mentality, God, does that change how you feel about things, man? It releases. If I lose my flight, there's a reason for it. What reason for it? Let's find out. Rather than fuck, man. Now there's a reason for it. My girl left me. There's a reason for it. I'm telling you, if you actually start to believe in that, and you genuinely start to look for a reason, literally nothing can hurt you. Nothing can hurt you. All right? All right. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this. If you guys want to work with me one-on-one, go to mindfulattraction.org, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, check out my Patreon, man. I'm posting a lot on Patreon, man. In case this, YouTube doesn't fucking promote my videos no more, so just check me out on Patreon. Are you needy and creepy? Do you have a tough time coming across confident when you like the person? A lot of the times you just don't know what to do. You have habits and patterns that whenever somebody triggers you, you completely forget what to do the right thing. Well, guess what? I have a course for that. And it's called The Psychological Game of Attraction, Natural Chemistry, and The Feminine Woman, what I call the fundamentals. All of those courses are meant to eradicate and exercise the needy, creepy parts in you through action. Meaning, you do what the videos say, and without a shadow of a doubt, you actually get the results. You'll notice that men call you back more. Men will want more relationships with you. They're gonna be the ones that are needy and creepy. They're gonna be the ones that want something. They're gonna be the ones that are the aggressors in trying to get a relationship out of you. But the problem is that a lot of people just watch one or two videos and completely forget that there's actually a system. Don't just watch one or two videos. Get the system either by purchasing all of them and get a discount, or purchase them individually. Because a lot of the times, just watching one video in isolation, you actually miss the big picture. You have to understand why it works. You have to understand what to do next. And a lot of times, my videos just can't address that. A lot of people, you'll see by the testimonies right here, a lot of people have done what those videos say, and they've gotten results. Like the other day, I was in Mexico, and they were like, "Hey, Alexis," and I'm like, "Hey, oh my God, your videos are so great." And I'm like, and she was like, "Look at my kid." I'm like, what you talk about your kid? That's not my kid. She's like, no, because of him, because of your videos, he's here. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's a thing. But I get that a lot. And ironically, that woman watches all of my videos, right? So purchase those courses, man. And if you don't like it, you actually could get a 30-day money-back guarantee, right? Purchase them individually, or get a discount and purchase them all by clicking on the description down below. You have the option of purchasing the one with the bonuses that obviously it's more material, where it's like I give you guys meditations. There's also other courses on how to make friends, how to master anything, or you could purchase it without the bundle, which is much more affordable, all right? And with that, you guys are able to support my channel, which will allow me to make more videos, okay? Anyways, see you guys inside, and thank you.